Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Let's talk facts. Well. The Cowboys pulled out the victory. I think they had us all afraid there for a moment when Brandon Aubrey uh, wound up missing that field goal. I mean, that was a big deal at the end. And I've already been hearing some of the pundits kind of talk about the game, talking about what they liked and what they didn't like. And some people, especially some of the Dallas Cowboy fans, I've been hearing a lot of what they did not like. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm satisfied with the victory. Why? Because the Dallas Cowboys won. I mean, you can't get every win the way that you want it. The Dallas Cowboys won the football game. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we wanted. And you don't always get the wins. And hold on just a second. You don't always get the wins the way that you want them. I mean, you really don't. And so at the end of the day, I'm satisfied that the Dallas Cowboys won the game. And what I'm going to do is that I gave a keys to the Cowboys winning the game earlier today. And so what I'm actually going to do, I'm just going to recap some of the things that I talked about that the Cowboys needed to do to win this football game. And some of those things they did. We saw some of those things they did, and some things there are still some things to be desired. But I'm not overly worried about it because at the end of the day, I think what the Cowboys needed the most was a win. And I think that's the part that sometimes people miss. The Cowboys were 1-2, 0-2 at home this year. And so it's almost like they were falling apart at the seams. And so they needed this win. It didn't really matter how they got it. They needed it and they needed it bad. And so since they got it, all I can say is good. And I don't know sometimes what else do the Cowboy, I just wonder sometimes what do the Cowboy fans really want? I mean, what, did we want to blow out? Excuse me. I mean, did we want a blowout victory? Well, I know sometimes we may want certain things, but we don't always get what we want, or we don't always get it how we want. But at the end of the day, I think Dak Prescott was saying a lot of the things right. I'm going to do some more videos tomorrow on some of the responses that people are giving to the win, and what Dak Prescott said on Thursday Night Football at the end. And I'm glad some of the things that he said, because at the end of the day, no matter how you slice it, the Cowboys needed a win. The Cowboys needed a win. And sometimes they're going to be ugly like that. They're going to be ugly. You're going to have ugly wins throughout the year, especially when you're talking about on the road. And so for me, I saw some of the things that I wanted to see from the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they came out, had a couple of really good drives, and really had some, I would say they had a couple of really good drives where they scored the touchdowns. And then they had some good drives, but didn't finish at the end. And I hope that Brandon Aubrey kind of gave the Dallas Cowboys kind of like a wake-up call. We know that Brandon Aubrey, I say it if you follow any of my videos, I always say that Brandon Aubrey can kick it from the parking lot. We know Brandon Aubrey is the real deal, but he missed tonight at the end. I hope that sent a message to the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, Brandon Aubrey is good, but don't get content with the fact that he can get you in field goal range at the 50-yard line. Get in the end zone. Get in the end zone, because, they almost, they gave us all a little bit of a scare. I mean, I wasn't overly worried, but they gave us all a little bit of a scare because, let's just face it, they didn't finish the game the way that we would have wanted. because I actually would have preferred, uh, a touchdown. That's what I would have preferred. I mean, forget Brandon Aubrey kicking the field goal. I would have rather them got a touchdown and put the game away in a resounding fashion. But at the end of the day, I'm just glad the Cowboys got the victory. So I want to go over the box scores. I'm gonna go back and forth, go over the box scores, but I want to talk about a quick recap of the storylines that I was talking about today in the keys to a Cowboys victory. And so these are some of the things that I talked about. It was an NFC battle, and Dak Prescott talked about that at the end of the game when he was on Thursday Night Football at the end. He was exactly right. People have to understand something. This was an NFC East battle. It don't matter how you want it. It don't really matter how you want it. The fact is you want it. The Cowboys needed that victory. They got it. It was an NFC battle. Both of them were 1-2. This loss is worse for the Giants, I believe, because they're just really not a good football team. Cowboys are a good football team, but I think they're having a little bit of a problem with their identity. But I'm going to talk about that more as we go on. Cowboys beat the Giants. You know, the last season, they beat the brakes off of them. 89-17 in two victories. 40-0 in the opener, 49-17. 49-17 here. I mean, in the second game last year, okay, this year it was closer. It was 2015. But nevertheless, Dallas benefited from the short week. They could put the New Orleans Saints, the Baltimore Ravens, that's behind them. It's no point in crying over spilled milk. And they've actually cleaned up the spill a little bit. And so it was a short week. We're not going to dwell on the loss. Now, let's go into the bye week with a win. Let everybody get their bodies right. I think people can get their minds a little bit better, because at the end of the day, I said it today, but they're going to have to suppress the noise from the outside. Don't listen to people talking about how you won. You won the game. You won the game. And Dak still owns the New York Giants. It was 12 straight games. Now it's 13, and the New York Giants were 8. They had 8 straight losses on Thursday Night Football. Now they have 9. And the 9th one at the hand of the Cowboys. And so I said today, can Dak and CeeDee Lamb get on the same page? They got on the same page. They're still not where we want them, but they got on the same page. Micah Parsons in the defense. They had a few mishaps today, but they got on the same page. Now, today, I'm wondering, I said today, I wondered if Mike Zimmer was trying to find what his defense is. And I think he kind of knows who he has now. And I'll talk about that when we move over to the offense, the defense, and the special teams. But it looks like the defense and Micah Parsons kind of found themselves today. The Giants had a new kicker. I figured he might be a factor, as in them losing the game. Maybe he would miss a kick, but he was actually the MVP of their team because he scored all 15 points. So the kicker didn't come into play like we thought it would. The weather didn't come into play like we thought it would. They were talking about it might be heavy rain, but it did not happen, so that's good. Dak, no interview this week, and I said today, I think Dak was sending a message not to the press, but to his team that he was locked in. And if you noticed how they came out in that first half, Dak was locked in. Dak was pinpoint accurate. I mean, throwing once again into very tight windows. People do not understand what Dak is doing. He's making it look easier than it is. Dak knows his offensive line. They talked about it on the Thursday Night Football postgame show. Dak's offensive line is just not up to par. It's just not. And so they're having to figure out ways to scheme. They're having to find blocking schemes or get the ball out of Dak's hand very fast in order for them to do what they got to do. But I'll talk about that when we move over to offense and we start getting into some of the box scores. But here it is. Will McCarthy be on the hot seat if they lose? Well, they didn't lose. And people are still putting Mike McCarthy on the hot seat. They're still putting him on the hot seat. But if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm not worried about, again, the outside noise. Mike McCarthy, I don't care what anyone says, he's playing with house money. He doesn't have a contract next season. He's not going to get fired. He can just finish out his contract. And if the Cowboys don't want him, I'm sure another team will want him. Because I still say 3 straight seasons of 12-5, there are some teams that would kill to get a coach who could do things like that. And who knows what Mike McCarthy could do if he was really turned loose and not being up under the reins, in a sense, of Jerry Jones. And finally, can the Cowboys turn the season around? I don't think they needed to turn the season around. I mean, I'm just done with all of the game by game. Okay, we're terrible this game. If we beat this team, we're trash. No, let's see what this thing looks like in totality. I mean, the next 3 games for the Cowboys, I think they are going to give us a better barometer. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers, smash mouth running team, running quarterback, good wide receiver. It's going to be a great test for the Cowboys, but then it ramps up because the Detroit Lions, boy, after that game last year, and they feel like they got cheated. And when you look at their roster, they have a show enough offensive line, show enough running back, show enough wide receiver, and they got a defense. People better get ready. People better get ready. The Detroit Lions are going to be the real deal. And then, of course, San Francisco, not as worried about San Francisco as I'm sure no one is worried as they once were. Who knows when Deebo Samuel's going to be back? And if he gets back by the Dallas game, what is he going to look like? Doesn't look like McCaffrey will be back by the Cowboy game. So who knows what that's going to look like? But we'll know what they're going to look like in the next 3 games and kind of where the Cowboys are going. And so I want to go to some of the box score. I mean, I want to go to the offense. And let me look at this real quick. This right here, really, I hope these injuries are not serious. But the injury report, Micah Parsons. I was worried that it was a knee, but it looks like it's an ankle. So I'm hoping that it's not broken. Maybe it's some type of sprain to where, I mean, just hopefully he don't miss the whole season. You know, if it's 2 or 3 games, you're just going to have to work and deal with it. Guys going to have to step up. And if guys step up, we'll see what some people are made of. Then we got DeMarcus Lawrence, something about the arch in his foot. It was when he missed the sack on Daniel Jones. And it's like, ironically, on that play is where you hurt yourself. But nevertheless, we need those 2 guys in. But I want to go to these offensive keys that I talked about. I talked about these offensive keys. And I'm just going to show you how what I talked about before the game, these are the very things that the Dallas Cowboys did on both sides of the ball. So I said the offensive keys, CeeDee Lamb early. They did it. They did it. They got CeeDee Lamb involved early, and that was very important. And Dak Prescott said it in the Thursday Night Football postgame show that CeeDee Lamb is a receiver that he runs off of rhythm. And so if you can get the ball in his hands early, it'll not only keep him in the game, but he will produce. It'll produce dividends once you get him the ball. And so that was very smart. They got him the ball early, got him in the game, and of course it paid dividends. I mean, the 55-yard touchdown, I think it was fantastic. Once again, they did something else I talked about. They manufactured a run game. The Cowboys, people are talking about the run game. And I do think it needs to be better. But today it was better. Tonight it was better. It's exactly what we need. We need a little bit more. I thought they all ran well. I mean, we're not looking for a 100-yard rusher. I mean, if we can get one, that's great. But you don't have to have one. All you need is to manufacture a run game. I really don't want them to start putting CD Lamb in the backfield. I don't think he's built like that. I'd rather them put Turpin in the backfield or Turpin on some of those sweeps, Turpin on some screens. I'd rather them use Turpin to help them manufacture their run game, especially due to the fact that now it seems like teams are saying we're not going to let Turpin get his hands on the ball because the New York Giants were intentional tonight not to let him get his hands on the ball. So we might have to use him somewhere else. But they manufactured a run game. And let me see real quick. Let's pull up the box score. Let's pull up the box score and see kind of how we did here in the run game. And look at this. We're going to come back to this, but this is an amazing stat. 80 yards. They manufactured, the Dallas Cowboys manufactured 80 yards rushing tonight. I don't know what people are complaining about. Bravo. You can't tell me that's not better than what we've been. And what we're looking at right now is getting better. It wasn't about, okay, we're going to show everybody who we are for the rest of the year. No. I'm going to tell you what's going on with the Cowboys as we go further into this. But what else do you want? They did exactly what they needed to do. They manufactured a running game. And when you look at the player stats and when you look at the rushing game, I kind of like what I see here. Rico Dowdle, 11 carries, 46 yards, 4.2 yards a carry. Like it. Ezekiel Elliott, 5 for 19. We'll take it. Ezekiel Elliott is situational. We're not tripping. CeeDee Lamb, it says 3 for 8. Hunter Lipke was 2 for 8. Dak Prescott was a -1. And I think that they're going to start picking and choosing Dak Prescott of where he can get involved in that run game. He made a misread tonight and probably shouldn't have put himself in harm's way. But nevertheless, they got 80 yards rushing. I'm happy with that. That's good, if you ask me. And so the Cowboys just got to keep working on manufacturing the run game. And the next place I want to see them go is, okay, it's a bye week. 10 days, get to rest your body, rest your mind, look at film, and then get back to practice. Can we please see what Dalvin Cook is? Can we please see what Dalvin Cook is against the Pittsburgh Steelers? We need to see what Dalvin Cook is. Because, if Dalvin Cook isn't good enough, if he's not better than what Ezekiel Elliott is, he's not better than Deuce Vaughn, what in the world are you doing with him? Let Dalvin Cook, let us see what Dalvin Cook is. Bring him off of the practice squad for real. Tonight also we look at, I said they need to stop the pass rush. The interior line, I talked about this. Guyton is a very strong kid. But the problem with Guyton is simple. Guyton he can't block yet when they put a move on him. They'll fake him like they're going straight at him. And then they'll juke to the left and go inside. Or they'll juke to the right and go outside. Or it's probably vice versa. But whatever the case may be, they're getting him when they put a move on him, step to one way and then go inside or out. And Guyton is just not quick enough on his feet at this point in time. And that's something they're going to have to work on, is his footwork. Because they didn't stop the pass rush tonight. And that's one of the main reasons why some of those drives were stalling. Because it was basically like this. If it wasn't something quick, they knew that Dak was going to be running for his life. And so that's what they're dealing with. That's what McCarthy is dealing with. And so I'm not really worried about the noise when people are talking about this, that, and the other. Dak is very patient. And what he's hoping and what he said again tonight in the post game was he's encouraged because he knows that the offensive line is going to get better. And I believe that it will. And boy, Guyton is getting trial by fire. I mean, he's running up against some of the best pass rushers in the game. And so still didn't stop the pass rush. But the one thing they did do, I felt like they started fast. Not fast as they wanted, but fast enough. Fast enough. They didn't score on the first drive, but they came back and they got it going in the second one. So they started fast enough to where rather than being down 7-0, 14-0, 14-3, they were up 7-3. That's exactly what they needed. That was exactly what they needed. So they started faster. So we can say they started faster. Now, this is the part that I really want the Dallas Cowboys to come to grips with. And I hope that Cowboys Nation comes to grip with. The Cowboys are a passing team. Cowboys are a passing team. Let's stop trying to turn the team into a balanced football team. Let's stop trying to turn the team into a 40-60 running team. That's not you, Dallas. Same thing happened last season. This is not you. What you need the running game for is just to keep these teams honest to set up your passing game. That's what we need it for. We're just trying to get them out of that cover two shell. It's not about the Cowboys being a running team. They just need to be a team that can run the ball, and they're showing when we need short yardage, we can get it. If they can get in 2 yards and 1 yard where they need the first downs, they can get them. If they can get within 1 or 2 yards of the end zone, they can get it. We know they can get that. I think where they're struggling is on third down efficiencies is like the 3rd and 4s or the 3rd and longs. So they got to get a little bit better with that. But admit you're a passing team. Admit you're a passing team. And I don't know what's going on. I hope this changes in this mini bye week. Mike McCarthy, bro, you got to stop this straight down the field and comeback routes. That is not what you were doing last year. The Cowboys were way more creative on offense last year. I don't know if they're doing this because CeeDee Lamb missed training camp or whatever the case may be, but it's the same offense. I mean, what's the holdup? When are we going to start running deep crossing routes with Brandon Cooks and Kevontae Turpin? When are we going to start taking shots deep down the field? You got the speed with Turpin. You got the speed with Cooks. Even Jalen Tolbert got a little bit of speed, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from Jalen Tolbert. One of the things I said they need to do, other receivers involved. Jalen Tolbert, we're seeing it a little bit more and a little bit more. We got to get a little bit more. We need him to become a threat. We need him to become a threat, and we have got to start finding ways to get Brandon Cooks more than 1 or 2 receptions. Let's look at the box score again, because I don't think Brandon Cooks, when we look at receiving, so CeeDee Lamb was 7 receptions. Jake Ferguson was 7 receptions, 49. CeeDee, 7 for 98. We got Jalen Tolbert. Oh, I'm not doing it. Sorry, Siri. Jalen Tolbert, 3 for 24. Brandon Cooks, 1 for 16. What are we doing? Brandon Cooks is better than that. I know he's a smaller guy, but Brandon Cooks is better than that. And I know why they're probably not going downfield. And this is why I said they got to get this figured out, because they're being so one-dimensional in their blocking a lot of times because they can't run the ball, which tonight they were able to manufacture some running plays, which was good. But when they got in passing downs, Dak still didn't have enough time to set his feet and let it rip all the way down the field. And I think they're afraid to do that. And so that's probably why we're still not seeing what we need to see. But we need more of Brandon Cooks, and we definitely need more of Jalen Tolbert. So they kind of did some of these things that I talked about on offense. And I want people to understand, I think something else happened too that people aren't realizing. The New York Giants did something, and this is how you stop a team. Like when a team starts getting momentum, like the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys really started getting some momentum. Let's see here. The Cowboys really started getting some momentum. So when you look at when you look at how the Cowboys really got going, let's see if you can see it here. When you look at the box score, the first quarter, it was 7-3. Then it became, I'm thinking, 14-3, then 14-6. But the Giants did something that people aren't giving them enough credit for. The time of possession. They literally, in the second quarter, people might not realize it, they held the ball almost half of the second quarter towards the end. The Cowboys didn't get the ball back until there was like a minute and 30 seconds in the second quarter. Now, if you're a team and you're gaining momentum, what do you think happens when you're gaining momentum and then a team keeps the ball for 6 minutes of the second quarter at the end of the second quarter? Now, you have to think, that's not 6 minutes because of the TV timeouts and the way, how they have to huddle up. That's not TV six. I mean, that's not a literal 6 minutes. We're talking 25, 30 minutes sitting on the sidelines. And so you got Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson, they're heating up. What do you think happens if they're heating up and now they have to sit on the bench? You get cold. You get cold. You don't have the momentum anymore. Why? Even though the New York Giants don't score a touchdown, they score a victory. I don't understand why people don't see that. Anyone who's ever played sports, especially football, the one thing you actually want your offense on the field, and you want your defense resting so they can get the other team off the field quickly. That's what you want to do. You want your defense to be so rested that they go out there maximum effort, 3 and out. Maybe 6 and out, tops. And you want your offense back on the field. Why? Because you want them to continue the momentum, keep on scoring, get more plays, get deeper into the playbook. That's what you're wanting. And so the Giants, even though they didn't score the points, I want you to look at this. This is insane. Look at the time possession. The Cowboys had it 24 minutes, 23 seconds. The Giants were putting together long drives, 35 minutes and 37 seconds. And you wonder why the Cowboys look the way they look? There was a reason. They couldn't, so they can't get the momentum going because they're sitting down. And then when they do get up, they don't have the momentum anymore, so they're having to get up. And so that has an effect on the offense. And Zimmer did some Zimmer things tonight. Some Zimmer things. This will transition me into the defensive side. But the one thing that Zimmer did, amongst the things that I said that they needed to do to win the game, Zimmer did Zimmer things. He bent, but he didn't break. Did we notice that? He bent, but he didn't break. He allowed them to get in the red zone. But once they got in the red zone, Zimmer's defense clamped down. And I was very impressed by that. Very impressed. And so Let's look at the defensive keys I talked about today, and we can go through some of the box score again. But one of the things I said, defensive keys, stop the run. I mean, that doesn't even take a rocket scientist. I mean, everybody knows. And the verdict is still out. Okay, they stopped the run, but let's be realistic. They stopped the run, but that was not a top running back that they stopped the run on today. I mean, let me see here. He is a journeyman. He is more of a journeyman running back. And so he's actually had, and let's not take anything away from him. He's actually had some pretty good games this season. I think overall he had 197 yards coming into the game. Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is, I mean, he's not a top back, better than what the Cowboys have, but the Cowboys held him to 26 yards rushing. 26 yards rushing. Man, I mean, I don't care if it's against the local Little League. Hey, man, they stopped the run, and that was good enough for me. Because you got to have things to build on. Yes, Wilson Todd. I think it's a win for a change. Yeah, they got the win. And I'm really happy with the fact, I don't care if it was against the Bad News Bears. They stopped the run. And that's what this team needs to build on. Build on the victories. Look at this. 26 yards. Man, I don't care who you playing. To hold a team to 26 yards, you went out and intentionally said, we're not going to let you run on us. We're not going to let you run on us. Let's look at the Giants here. Their box score. Let's see. Devin Singletary. He was 14 carries for 24 yards, 1.7 yards a carry. The Cowboys held him way below his average. Daniel Jones, don't sleep on him. He can run the ball. Guess what they did? 3 yards on 4 carries. This Tyrone Tracy kid, wide receiver converted to a running back. They stopped him. So the Cowboys were able to stop the run. Where the Giants were flourishing was actually in the passing game. I mean, this kid Neighbors, I mean, hey, man, he's no joke. He's no joke. There's a reason why he's a first-round draft pick. He's no joke. And this kid, Wan'Dale Robinson, boy, nice. He was nice with it. He's nice with it. And so when you think about the fact that the Cowboys were playing with backup corners, for the most part, I thought they did pretty good. Passing yards, the New York Giants had 277. I would rather see that 277 and 3 points and not be 277 on the running end, knowing that if a team is running for 277 yards, which the Cowboys gave up an average of 198 yards per game in the last 2 games, knowing those are equating into touchdowns. They're equating into touchdowns. So, again, they bent, but they didn't break. Wilson Todd, yep, we needed it bad, very bad. Got it. And when you get it, good. We can build off the win. And that's what you're trying to do. You know, people are a little too critical. You get what you want, but it's not how you want it. No, you got the win. Let the team go into the bye week. They're watching film better than we are. The coaches know what they're doing better than we know. It's easy to be an armchair quarterback. Just let them watch, let them see what they did wrong, and let them go from there. I said they needed to spy Daniel Jones. Well, they were able to, for the most part, contain Daniel Jones. He got loose on the edges a couple of times, but for the most part, they contained him. They stopped Devin Singletary. I said they need to do that. They did it. The Giants can run the ball. The Cowboys stopped them. I said that Malik Neighbors versus Diggs was going to be a big deal, And it was. It was. It was a very big deal. And the Giants were really smart because there were certain plays that they were able to get Neighbors, and I know I spelled his name wrong. I noticed it tonight. But Neighbors they were able to match him up on those rookie cornerbacks, and he kind of ate a little bit. But they still didn't break, and they were able to stop him. And this is what I was most satisfied with. They stopped the big plays. There was some plays, but they were not so big that they got in the end zone, because that's what had been happening. I mean, Cowboys were letting loose huge plays just on their heels the whole night. And so they were able to stop some of these things. William Gann Jr., yes, you need ugly wins every now and then. Yes. And guess what? I got news for us, Cowboy fans. It's not going to be the last one. I won't be surprised if the Pittsburgh Steelers game is uglier. I will not be surprised if it's uglier. 13-10, 13-9, some weird score, because Pittsburgh's got a defense. They can run the ball. But I think that Mike Zimmer has said enough's enough. Only points we're giving up are 3 points. We're going to bend, not break. We're going to depend on our offense to get us some touchdowns to where we can win these games. So get ready, Cowboys. These games will be uglier, especially due to the schedule that the Cowboys have. And I don't care what nobody say. I don't care how ugly them wins are. I don't care how ugly them wins are, because these ugly wins, they build character. The ugly wins build character. I think one of the problems the Cowboys have had the last 3 seasons, and this is why, for me, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon of panic like everyone else. The Cowboys, what typically happens to them is they cruise through certain parts of their schedule. They cruise through the beginning of the schedule. You look up and the Cowboys mid-season are 6-2-ish, 7-3-ish. And then they get into that mid-season part, and then they might win 4 or 5 in a row, or they might 2 or 3 and on a couple of here and there. But then guess when the adversity comes for the Dallas Cowboys? At the wrong time. End of the season. People don't realize it. Cowboys started having a lot of adversity towards the end of the season, a lot of confusion towards the end of the season, and it reared its ugly head that by the time they got to the playoffs, they were not ready. I want the adversity now. I want it now, because it helps you to correct the course as you get further down the line, rather than it goes off course towards the end and it's harder to steer it back in the right direction. Nope, I believe the Cowboys are going in the right direction right now. I think they're going in the right direction. The Steelers are good at making things ugly too. You better believe it, because nobody thought they were going to be 3-0, but lo and behold, 3-0. 3-0. So, hey, you got to get them. You got to get them how you can. They have to fight dirty to win, the old school way. And I think I think this is where Mike Zimmer is. Mike Zimmer, this is one of his trademarks. I bend, I don't break. We'll get some stops. We'll get some field goals, but we're not giving up them touchdowns. And that's what he did this game. That's what he did the second half of the Ravens game. So one of the things I was saying was, are we going to see him build off of the second half of the Ravens game? That's exactly what he did. And I think what happened is, we have to understand these teams, the preseason is not the same anymore. They're not playing 4 preseason games. The season is starting earlier, so you're not able to see what you have like you used to. So now you're going into 2, 3, 4 games deep into the season before these guys even play together, before you even know what you have. And so I think now Zimmer's got a good understanding of what he has on defense. And so since he has a good understanding, we're going to see him now start to take advantage of what he knows that he has. And so the last thing that I said was they needed discipline. Boy, the end of that second quarter, they lost it. They did pretty good in the first quarter, but the end of that second quarter was atrocious. Still need more discipline. Still need more discipline. Mike McCarthy and this coaching staff, you got to get these guys more discipline so they don't cost you games and extend drives for these teams. And so before I get into the special teams, like I said, I'm not giving Mike McCarthy a pass. But sometimes we have to understand football. Offenses want to be on the field. Defenses want to be off the field. And what the New York Giants did tonight, but they didn't capitalize on, thank goodness, is they kept the Dallas Cowboys offense off the field so that when they got back on the field, they had to work again to get their rhythm back, to get the blood back going through their veins, to get to get back in the game. I mean, you can tell me anything you want to, man, but if you're just sitting on the sideline as an offensive unit watching the defense, I mean, that's not good. That's not good. And so I hope as Zimmer keeps this team going and just keeps working with what he has, I hope that Zimmer can start getting some more 3 and outs, getting off the field more, getting the offense on the field a little bit quicker so they're not having to sit on the sideline for 5 and 6 and 7 minutes. And when you translate that into real time, you're talking about your offense literally on the sideline for 15 to 20 minutes, 25 minutes at a time. Whew, man, that's tough on the offense. I don't care what anyone says. And so the Giants did something else tonight that I thought was very smart on their part. They nullified the special teams. I said that the special teams need to keep doing what they're doing, but New York was smart. They said they'd rather let the Cowboys take it on the 30 than to let Cavante Turpin get a return. I think you're going to see quite a few teams make that decision. Because with this new dynamic kickoff, Cavante Turpin is a dynamic returner. And because of the way they were scoring the field goals, they didn't give him hardly any opportunities for punt returns. They didn't give him any opportunity for punt returns. So they kind of nullified Cavante Turpin. Let me see here. Victorious Secret 336. During that long Giant second quarter drive, the camera caught Dak sitting by himself trying to stay loose. Yes. I mean, people do not understand what happens when an offense sits on the sideline too long. I mean, it's like rigor mortis is setting in. They got to, oh man, okay, about time we're back on the field. And so now the play selection has to be almost perfect. Because you got to figure out a way, okay, the first thing we got to do, we've been sitting on the sideline for so long, we got to get a first down. And if we can get a first down, okay, we can get the team warmed up. Okay, can we get another second? Can we get another first down? Okay, now we can, okay, we're getting kind of loose. Now, can we push the ball down the field? But at the same time, hey, we're going to have to be patient. Guyton and BB, in particular Guyton, and don't even let me talk about Terrence Steele, y'all. I mean, I can't wait to see some tape on Terrence Steele. Man, Terrence Steele is getting taken to school out there too. I mean, come on, Terrence Steele. Come on, man. This dude getting taken to task out there. And so this offensive line is young. Guyton and BB are going to be all right. I think they're going to be all right. But they sat on the sideline a long time. They couldn't get some drives going because they were killing Guyton on those fakes to the right or the left and going inside or outside. And I mean, Guyton couldn't do anything. But again, special teams, they nullified Cavante Turpin. And then Brandon Aubrey missed the kick. I'm not worried about Brandon Aubrey missing the kick because I keep saying that dude can make it from the parking lot. I mean, we're not worried about him. But I do think he sent a message, not on purpose, but he sent a message to the offense and to the team, I can kick it from the parking lot. But don't get that in your brain to where you start thinking, well, as long as we can get to the 45, we can still score. No. Get this thing in the end zone. Get it in the end zone. As much as I know Brandon Aubrey can kick it from the parking lot, you know what I want to see him doing more? Extra points. I want to see Brandon Aubrey kicking extra points. I don't want to see him kicking from the parking lot. I don't want to see the 65-yard field goals. I don't want to see the 51-yard field goals. I want to see him kicking extra points. And then when we really need him, and I think there's going to be some games we're going to really need him in some of these tough fought games, especially when we get to the playoffs. I'm not saying if, when we get to the playoffs. We're going to need him for stuff like that. But I would rather see us getting in the end zone rather than him kicking from the parking lot. But the Giants, they did a lot of things right. I'm telling you, I give the Giants a lot of credit because the Cowboys were literally, when they scored that second touchdown, the Cowboys were about to run off on the Giants. They were about to run off on the Giants. And if they would have got that ball back when they were really warmed up in that second quarter, if they'd got that ball back with 4 or 5 minutes to go in that second quarter, they about to put the Giants out of the misery. They would have went in probably at halftime 21-6. So the Giants did a lot of things right, man. They did a lot of things right. They definitely kept that ball from Turpin on special teams. And they really, in a sense, they nullified the best phase of football the Cowboys have right now, and that's special teams. And they were able to nullify them. So kudos to the New York Giants on them being able to achieve that. And so overall, I mean, just kind of going down the box score, just overall, I mean, it was a really good night. I mean, for the Cowboys, when you just look at what they went through. Like I said, 277 yards passing, I'll take that all day long. I do think the Cowboys need to work on their third down efficiency, 3 for 10. You at least want to be above 50%. And they've been struggling with that over the last 3 weeks. They were 3 for 10. I don't really count fourth down efficiency. It's great. We know Lipke. You guys, I've been telling my sons, man, go look at this guy Lipke's tape. Hey, man, Lipke is the real deal. That guy was a scoring machine in college. I mean, I really hope the Cowboys keep working him into the offense. I mean, I think he can play. I think he can pay dividends. I mean, I think he can play tight end for him. He can line up on the other side opposite of Ferguson. He's the real deal. Tonight, also sacks allowed. Even though it was only 1 sack allowed on each team, they really pressured one another. And Micah Parsons, again, no sacks. Teams have started figuring out how to nullify him because he's a smaller rushing defensive end. And I got to give it to the guy that was playing against him, across from him. Boy, they showed the film. I mean, they were showing the replays. Boy, he was dealing with Micah Parsons. You don't see guys deal with Micah Parsons like that, but he was dealing with Micah Parsons. He really was. And so they were only able to get 1 sack. The penalties, wow, 11 for 89 on penalties. I mean, the penalties kind of kept the game closer than it was. Really did. Kept the game closer than it was. Again, no turnovers. Good deal for the Cowboys. 24 minutes time of possession. And the Giants had a lot to do with that more than the Cowboys were not doing what they were supposed to do. Yeah, William, I'm telling you, man, I've been telling folks, man, go check this dude's tape out. I mean, go check this dude out, man. He was a beast. He was beasting in college. And so he is doing a very good job for the Cowboys. And so as we get ready to close this out, let me give my thoughts. Dallas, you better move up Dalvin Cook. Come on, man. 10-day break. Surely Dalvin Cook will be ready by the time you come off this mini bye. And I truly believe you're going to need him against Pittsburgh. You're going to have to match Pittsburgh mano a mano. You're going to have to run the ball on them. You're going to have to, once again, manufacture the run. And I don't care if I'm not looking for a 100-yard running back. But I think you need the 1-2 punch. And I think that if Dalvin Cook got something, him and Rico can be the 1-2 punch, and then Zeke can be situational. Zeke can be situational. I like the role Zeke is playing. I think Zeke is playing pretty good. I'd like to see him a little bit more catching out of the backfield than him running. But I definitely want to see what he can do. Victorious said, I wondered why Lipke can't be that bruising runner for us like Henry is for the Ravens. Plus, he can catch it out of the backfield. I think they really do need to work him some into the running game also. I mean, the kid got a little bit of speed. I mean, I'm telling people, man, check this dude out. This dude got something. He got something. He got something. So I hope the Cowboys also work him in. I'm going to have to put that into the keys to the game next week about Lipke. But man, move Dalvin Cook up. It's time to stop playing. Move this man up. You're about to hit a very meaty part of your schedule. Pittsburgh, Detroit, San Francisco. Yeah, you need to see what Dalvin Cook is and see if he can help you. Help you open up your passing game too. Man, use Turpin more on offense. I think they should have used him more tonight, especially with the fact that he wasn't going to get any work. As far as the New York Giants were concerned, I mean, you could tell they made a concerted effort that Kevontae Turpin was getting no work on kick returns and punt returns. He was going to get no work. So I wish they would use him more on offense. And then I still want to see Ryan Flanoy. Man, the dude is dynamic. He's a 4.40 guy. I think he's a bigger wide receiver. I think he can help you to get you a little bit deeper down the field. So again, I want to see Ryan Flanoy. And I'm going to add to that Lipke, work him into into the running game. I predicted the score was going to be 24-13. Had Brandon Aubrey made that field goal, I would have been pretty close. It would have been 23-15. Nevertheless, 2015, I don't care how we got it. I don't care if it's 20-19 in 3/4. As long as the Cowboys got the victory, they're 2-2. I am happy. And so that's my take on this whole thing with the Dallas Cowboys. I think at the end of the day, the Cowboys got a victory. That's all we need to know. They got the victory. The team can have some relief going into this mini bye week. I think it's only going to help them build more together. Let us pray that Micah Parsons doesn't have a serious injury. I was really concerned because I thought it was a knee, but it looks like it was an ankle from what they're showing. And I'm pretty sure there's probably already some talk about it. I'm probably going to drop tomorrow, probably drop about 3 or 4 videos because there will be a lot to talk about after a Dallas Cowboys win. And I know there will be people who will have a lot to say. I'll have a little bit more to say just based on some things that I'll see. And I'm going to be reacting to a lot of reactions to the Cowboys victory tonight. But again, a win is a win. Ugly or pretty, we're 2-2. How about them Cowboys? Until the next time, please, if you like this video, like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell, and let everyone know there is a channel where we talk Cowboys. Let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.